Okay, welcome to my next video. I've been training a lot with the Golok since the seminar of Kikumbang last week, and we discussed a lot about fighting with weapons, with blank weapons. And well, it's quite simple. What Kikumbang also told me is you have to train a lot with a weapon, because if the weapon gets one with you, you get more control, because that's not what you do in a real fight. In a real fight, you're trying to be safe, you want to win the battle, and it's all about fighting. Well, I want to explain a couple of things, and I want to compare three weapons. At first, I want to compare the Golok. This is the Golok. The second weapon I want to test is the Keris, and I see a lot of people from Pencak training with the Bugis Keris, with the grip, the pistol grip. And well, it's a big, heavy weapon. It's a real weapon. It's different than Japanese. I can understand that you use this as a weapon, not the Japanese Keris. But I'm going to test it. This is the second thing. And third, of course, I'm going to use the army knife. And this is the army knife. It's made for stabbing. It's made for cutting. And let me explain a little bit what you want. And I want to show you some pictures. I've been a diver in the army, and here you've got a picture of me in training. And during training, it's quite simple. But this is also nice. This is a system with processor. You don't see air bubbles, so you can go into enemy space without alarming. Well, here you can see we also had a training with explosives, because it's quite simple. It's not only not a nice picture, and here you can see the gear. When we go fighting, we only have a knife. We don't have a gun, we don't have a rifle or whatever, because some people can get nervous and they can shoot, and then you alarm yourself. Well, in an action, it's quite simple. When there's a bridge, it could be that the enemy is trying to blow up the bridge. So it's our task to go there and make sure that he cannot blow the bridge, so our tanks can go over the bridge. But it could also be that we are sent on a mission and that we need to sabotage a bridge. And well, if you see, the weapon we train with is actually only a knife. The knife is quiet, and let me explain what you want to do with a knife. First of all, you're not fighting against people who don't expect that you're coming. They know that you're coming. So most people, they wear a bulletproof vest like this. This is a bulletproof vest. And let me explain a little bit about bulletproof vest. When it's bulletproof, it means that you can penetrate with a knife. And there are a couple of things that are quite important when you want to fight. Hier, kom maar. Ga maar, Kitty. Ga maar even eruit. What you want is, you want to bring people to sleep. When do they sleep? If no oxygen can get to the brain. Quite simple. That means that, it's reversed, but here's my heart. If you can hit the heart, it doesn't pump blood to the brain, you fall asleep. It could be the lungs. If the lung get full with blood, you cannot breathe. It means that no oxygen will come in the brain, but that takes a little bit longer. And the third thing is, if you cut the supply of blood to the brain, you also fall asleep. And you want the people to fall asleep. Simple as that. It means that, let me start with the army knife. There are a couple of techniques, and this is nicely balanced, I can tell you. You can stab in the heart area, and the best thing is not to do it from front, because then he can react. You do it from the back. And you take a little bit left from the spine and you bring it in here. What you do is when you stab somebody, it will get into the heart and into the lung. And if you make sure that he don't make a sound, you fall asleep. Simple. Yeah. The second way to do it is entering Indonesian way here. So it means you can stab like this and you can stab like this. You go down into the heart and make sure that you move a little bit like this. Then you get the point into the heart and the lungs. So if the heart is still pumping, he will fall asleep because he cannot breathe anymore. That's the second. You can also enter sideways, but watch this. There's armor over here. So it means that stabbing like this is difficult, stabbing like this is difficult, stabbing like this is difficult. I'm going to explain you a little bit about armor, what it looks like. Yeah? Then you've got the third or fourth option, cutting the veins over here. You know, you take the head and whoop, you make a slice over here, and you will see that no blood come into the brain and you will fall asleep. Quite simple. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about bulletproof vest. A bulletproof vest, I just told you, if you've got a bulletproof vest, you can stab, no problem at all. Because to stop stabbing, you need a second vest. Now if you look here, this is to stop bullet, this is to stop the knife. So you need two of them. But here in front, you've got an armored plate. So your heart is always protected with a double armored plate. So stabbing from the front will not work. Quite simple, because you've got double armor, bullet, a knife, and this part. And also from the back, you see? From the back there's also a plate, an armored plate, and double layer, bulletproof, knife proof. Quite simple. So what options do you have? In real fight, you know, if somebody is not protected, why fight with a knife against somebody who don't expect it? You know, that a little bit, I mean, if you fight somebody, fight a real person. Yeah. So let me look at the army knife. It's made to stab. If he's not armored, you can get through like this. You can go through like this. You can go through like this here. And you can cut like this because it's sharp. It's very sharp. Yeah. If you look at the Keris, it's nice and heavy, you know. And you see it has a thick mandak over here, so it will not break. Just like Japanese Keris, they have the thin, you know, and you cannot push because there's one problem. You've got ribs over here. So you can stab like this. You can stab sidewards, but there's armor. You can actually also do it from top. But you have to push hard because it has to get in here and get through the heart. Like this. This is not ideal, I can tell you. And you can also cut. You can cut. But it's not ideal because the grip is not good. It's very good for stabbing. You know, stabbing is very good. And depends a little bit how the Keris is built. Because this Bugis Keris, it is heavy, man. It's if you feel it, if you got it in your hand, it feels like a real weapon. But the grip is not ideal for all the actions. Now, let me go to the Golok Bangka, you know. You can stab, but I told you, if it's armored, you cannot get through. Yeah, you can stab sideways, but it's also armored, it's a problem. So the best way is go in from here, because this is not armored. So it means if you step like this, whop, you can get in. Yeah, and if you don't trust it, move the knife, you know, so you can get to the heart and get through the lungs. But maybe more interesting, you can also cut like this, you know, and they fall asleep. Quite simple, that's what you want. So you've got some little problems with training. If you've got somebody who's trained, who's got an armored vest, you cannot get in from the front, you cannot get in from the back, you cannot get in from the side. You have to do it from here, the old Indonesian way. This move, you know, move. But you can also cut here. So in real use, I would say, the Golok you can use for all 4 directions. Front, back, side, here or here. You can stab, and it's hard. You know, this is ideal to hold, you know. The grip is ideal. And that's why the military and the police is also training with the Golok. And looking back at history, it would be great if the Dutch army would also use this as a real weapon. Of course, the real army knife is ideal for the job. It's made for it. It has a perfect balance. It's hard steel. You can see it's from Hamburg. You see the name over there? So this is a real Dutch army knife. It's the knife from my grandfather. It's the knife from my grandfather. And last but surely not least, and I think if you use it for sport, it's okay. But in real fight, I leave it up to you. What should you take if you are a real army man getting into a real fight?